Alright, hello. My name is Tuomas Maasikka, and what we're looking at today is this game, what I've designed, KaleWala Tale of Sampo. A game of hidden movement, and the main statisticals are here. 1 to 6 players is the recommended, and you could see maybe 1.5 hours, and quite advanced game, but the rules are quite easy. And you can see the main cover of the game box is looking at the game map, and you might recognize from the shape that there's like this silhouette of Finland and neighboring countries. So this KaleWala actually takes place in Finland and in the region of Karelia, so also part of Russian. It's in the 19th century. We have this legendary poet Elias Lönnrot, who visited that region and collected different folk tales and made an epic out of that. And this epic is conversed of 50 runes, and it's called national epic here in Finland. But I think you'll find that even internationally this game and the world behind it will have much appeal. Part of this reason is that the characters inside are really fascinating and curious, sort of weird, you could say. And what I could say is that even Tolkien took some inspiration out of these characters. And you can find this focus on narrative and theme all around this game. So basically this Tale of Sampo, as the name suggests, takes place up in the most core tale in KaleWala. Is around this artifact called Sampo. This is sort of like an artifact which grants the owners infinite prosperity and wealth. It was forged originally by this one of the characters in the game who sort of did it in order to get this maiden of Pohjola as his bride. So the Sampo was forged, all right, and then they gave it to Pohjola, the people who are living in the northern area, and the fellow I mentioned earlier is Ilmarinen, living in the south, called Väinölä. So it was received by Pohjola, and they're quite happy about it. But as the Maiden of Pohjola has perished now, the original makers here in Väinölä aren't happy about the situation anymore. So they gather their forces, these 3 heroes called Väinämöinen, Ilmarinen, and Lemminkäinen, and go north and want to take back the Sampo. And they succeed going there, perilous journey, alright, they did do it, but as they go there, they get the Sampo, they go back, they actually made them go to sleep with their beautiful singing, but as they go south, because of premature celebration, they actually wake up in the north and start chasing them, so hence the hidden movement about the game. And we can actually now proceed to look at the most important rules about the game, and trying to keep this quite concise. So, as I said, the main purpose is to go from Pohjola, as all of the characters actually start here in the same location, just from the spatial restriction I've been keeping the Pohjola leaders here, but they're sleeping. And these fellows will be trying to go down, and here. And actually the only leader that matters is the leader who has the Sampo. So it's called Sampo Bearer in the game, as he's carrying the Sampo, and if he reaches this destination, Väinölä instantly wins the game. And sort of like you could play from other setups, but this is what's set up here. And you could see that they have like these locations here all around scattered. You can see there's paths connecting these locations. There's like brown, which is path on land, and then there's blue, which is of course on water. And if you're moving on water, you will need a boat, of course, and it has a different applications to the moving as you get one more movement point in water. And basically the moving is the one part of the turn structure. The other part is doing actions. You can do maximum 1 per leader, but it's all happening simultaneously, and the two sides in the game, here you can see Väinölä, and other side is the chasing one, Pohjola. So all is doing simultaneously here first, and then there, and back and forth, maximum of 12 times. And here you can see it starts with doing actions. So if you want, you can sort of get new cards or add to your movement, do things like that. The actions are all listed here. It's mainly doing with different cards. You have to destroy them in order to get the action. This is partly because the leaders are quite exhausted already from their hard journey to the north, and now they have to sort of save their energy a bit. So if they have done some actions, maybe using their special ability as well, which is not an action, then they would move. And the movement is, like I said, from point to point. And for Väinölä, these guys will move 1 maximum point less than Pohjola. So on land it will be 2, like I would move this magnet here. That would be 2. I could just move 1, or if I feel extra cheeky, I could even remain there. So that is the movement. After the movement, they will have to sort of reveal at least part of the information to the Pohjola side. As you could see, the others are playing on the other side, they wouldn't know where we are. So that is based on the trap mechanism in the game, which is sort of like if you moved from here to here, you have to reveal at least one path from this guy's movement. So you could ask this path, or you could ask this path. So maybe that advice thing here is to ask this one. You should announce to the other side, okay, is there a trap between Pohjola 3 and 22? If there was a trap, they had laid 12 traps on the beginning of the game. You get some extra downsides. But mainly the thing is that they will now know, okay, they moved from here to there, but they will not know that did we continue from here to here, or maybe we went here. And the thing is that because he actually utilized the same information, he doesn't have to ask for any more trap paths. So there's no more trap announcements, as this Väinämöinen leader is also not moving, so he's not asking anything. Alright, so that was basically their turn. Before we go to the other side, I just quickly want to mention that you could see here the cards are the main resource in the game. These are the 3 leaders you could see, and all the cards underneath that leader are considered usable or in their possession, so they could utilize their effects. Mostly you don't need to actually read any of these texts in the different resource cards, as only the color matters. The text only matters if it's used in combat and won with. So you could see if this symbol, it's only if you win the combat with this card, you get this effect. In the leader card, you can see there's no such symbol, so you can maybe see that, okay, this is leader card. You can do this special effect as is written on the card itself. So this fellow is a good singer. He gets more people to follow him. And you actually, at the beginning of the game, you sort of divide these cards between your leaders. So the advised thing here is to do, if you're not doing some weird strategy, is to just give one of each color to each leader. So I'm doing that. And not only this, but you have to decide who is taking the responsibility of being the Sampo bearer. This is something as the same is with the cards. You can change this in the middle of the game, even on your opponent's turn, if they're sharing the same location. Then they are trading resources, possessions, and it's not even an action. So you can just do it freely. If they would be on the same, I could, like at the beginning of the game, maybe he's the Sampo bearer, but then I might change to Lemminkäinen, because they're in the same place. But now we can just sort of continue along. You can see here, these are just like 3 extra leaders to both sides. You can obtain these leaders if you win the corresponding scenario. So there's war for red, singing contest for yellow or golden, and wooing scenario for silver. And this actually is because these are like different spheres of power. This red is violence, golden is influence, and silver is intrigue. And you will see this going around in the combat as well, as it's all, sort of like a sophisticated rock, paper, scissors, where violence beats singing, and the circle goes around. And just quickly from this side, it's almost the same. There's a bit different turn structure, as these Pohjola leaders will first move and then they will do the action. That's the most important difference. And they will have one more maximum movement point on each of their turns. And as well, if you're wondering what the heck are these small pieces, it's this still a prototype, even though it's a really advanced. So there's like these traps that was laid out in the beginning of the game. So if the first round is now over, they will have to remove this trap 1 if they didn't hit it. If they, let's say they hit this trap 1, then at the end of this round, at the end of their turn, they will have to now remove the trap number 2. So at the end of each round, as it says here, you have to burn the topmost trap card. So it's a good advice at the beginning of the game for Pohjola to put the numbers which are smaller, like 1 and 2, to where we started from, as they will slowly get burned away. And just these other things I wanted to mention is that here are the most important setup parts. These are like the extra cards you can obtain in the game, and on the bottom are even like really narrative effects, as you can see from the actual runes from KaleWala, which are detailed here. And the other side will be a really sort of a weird swingy effect. If you feel desperate, you should get these. And here you can see the trap cards, the boats, and these are actually important. These are like Sampo fragments. So for Pohjola to win the game is to first locate the Sampo bearer and then defeat him in combat. And we can see the Sampo here intact, but if they win the combat, they don't instantly win the game. Instead, the Sampo gets fractured, and all of their leaders get these fragments. So now all of the leaders are Sampo bearers. But now the next time Pohjola wins the combat, they win the game, as they just obtained this valuable fragment of Sampo. And also one other way for Pohjola to win is if Väinölä runs out of time. So all of these traps are burned, so they were either really slow or they were just really bad and just went into all of their cleverly laid out traps. And these are detailing actually like the cards you destroy in the game as part of the main actions in the game. They are actually sort of like giving you more power as the game progresses, as each will give power to the combat. And there are ways to obtain this back, but I'll just leave that to the gameplay itself. And this was just a quick overview about the rulebook. This is just sort of like an achievement sheet that will introduce even more tail cards as you unlock them, so to speak. And the rulebook is 16 pages, like this. All right, that's that.